skill set in that industry, considering what I've learned today. But it's all great because it works for what they do. I think that some of the skills that you have for normal jobs are also transferable into this industry, right? So soft skills, collaboration, teamwork, being able to work together, right? Being able to have some great active listening skills, which are going to be a part of that maintaining your attention so that you can complete those projects. Obviously, the technical skills are very important. We're seeing that, on the developer side, you'll need some coding experience, right? HTML, JavaScript, C++, all these different types of skills that you can actually gather through certifications now, so you don't have to go through extensive college curriculum to get those types of educational skills. But yeah, a lot of the skills that you think would be a key differentiator for this industry are actually just transferable. There are technical positions, there are non-technical positions, right? So we work with Microsoft, and so, just recently we hired a marketing strategist, right? Microsoft also needs a marketing department. They also need accountants, right? The same with the Super Bowl upcoming, right? We're approved supplier for the Super Bowl. And they also need folks that have varying skill sets. So yeah, it's not very different, but I think the attention span is a pretty important skill.
Teachers and faculty that understand and identify the transferable skills that students develop through gaming.
I think you have to cultivate it, right? So especially for parents and for schools, we need to be more focused on programs that cultivate these skills that these students can grow into these careers that we have available, right? And these are not entry-level careers. These are very high-paying jobs. So my company in particular, we hire mostly mid to senior level folks. But for some of our clients, like Microsoft, an entry-level job at Microsoft is actually $110,000. Mm-hmm. So, you're not talking about these small salaries. You really have to be engaged with your local organizations, right? We had a workshop yesterday. Pharaoh's Conclave is here, where they're doing amazing programming all around the country for youth, and actually building those skills up and coaching these kids. We've got E3 here. They're having a STEM event tomorrow here in Las Vegas, where she's talking about game development and drone piloting and sound engineering. So really starting to open up the mindsets of what this industry is, what the opportunities are, and then identifying how you can do creative, engaging, immersive even, programming so that these students are interested, and also that you can eliminate some wealth disparities in the future, right? That's one of the biggest problems in the Black and brown communities we're finding, especially in tech, is that there's a huge disparity in executives in leadership. There's a huge disparity in women in leadership, right? And many other underrepresented populations. So making sure that we are increasing our access is important, and diving into the local organizations and the national organizations that are doing the work and getting the kids involved in those things so that they can cultivate and become the professionals that we hire and see them make amazing money in the future.
I want to say also, another big thing that parents and faculty can do is come to events like these. Because if you see your children playing these games and they're spending all their time playing these games and you're thinking about their future, you're thinking about their careers, come to these events and come and speak to me, pull me aside after this. We got a whole bunch of folks from Activision here, we got people who run their own game studios over there. It's like, go talk to those folks and say, hey, my 12-year-old is playing their game 20 hours a day. How do I get them to make money from that? How do I get them to make a life out of that? Mm-hmm. And so, both teachers and parents, should come and get educated about this industry and learn more about this industry. So opportunities like this, I'm not trying to plug it for what it is, but it's like, this is a great opportunity for y'all to learn, to teach the kids and make it better with the kids.
Misconceptions or stereotypes about the gaming industry that parents and educators should be aware of when guiding students.
I think one of the misconceptions is that it's always fun, right? It's, again, like I kind of touched on that earlier. It is fun a lot of the times. Like when I'm sitting around with my team members at work talking about, you know, if a zombie can use its guts as a ladder to reach the second level, that's pretty cool. You know, I could be out digging the ditch, but no, I'm talking about goofy stuff like that. But, you know, next week when a milestone is due and it's late and the game is not working and I got my boss over my head like, hey man, where's that bill? And it's like, no, you know. So it can definitely be a job, but it's not, I don't know if I'm gonna date myself here, but there was these old commercials that where these two dudes sitting in the seats and they were like, hey, we got a job in games. You know what? Let's turn up the sound to level 3. And it was like so cool and so easy, man. It's not always that way. It is very much a job. It's more fun than a normal job, I think, but it is a job.
100%. Just like anything, it all has work behind it, so it comes from
Well, from what I learned today, some of the misconceptions that I've heard is that they're basement dwellers. I'm using my active listening skills. They're basement dwellers, they eat Doritos and drink Mountain Dew. And that's just not true, right? Especially when we look at what the trajectory of the industry looks like, right? So we're talking about now, what is it? Gamification is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's only increasing to 2030, right? And so the misconception is that they're just playing the game, but there's also skills that they can be learning, right? That are transferable into actual careers. And so when you look at, I would challenge you to Google what some of these people make. I did while we were sitting back there. I was like, how much does the top, gamer earn, you know? And can anybody tell me, what do you think the top gaming person earns?
Which million? It's multiple.
Yeah. How many? Let's get, who can
You
get
talking
close?
about esports, or you talking about?
I'm talking about the top gamer. That's
With streaming and all.
Wait, is it streamers?
oh, that's good. That's good.
It's awesome.
It's like
$4
probably 10.
million. The top earner right now is making $4 million, but that's probably just his base, right? That's not sponsorships.
Right.
That's not everything else that he's involved in. I think his name is P.
The kids know it, yeah.
Yeah. He's making over $4 million.
But he's more of a streamer.
He's probably making a little more.
Yeah, he's more than that. That's
Okay.
low.
He's one of so many, right? So there are people that are making multi-million-dollar salaries in this industry. So when you think about that, and you're thinking about how do I change the perception for my community so that they're not telling the kids to get off the game all the time, but you're actually talking to parents about, well, here's a gap analysis. I'm an HR person. Here's a gap analysis. Here are the steps that are going to be required for my son to become that top gamer, to make that $4 million. What does he need to do? You know? And so when you kind of break down those misconceptions, you start to realize there's a huge opportunity. And that's what I need to say.
Yeah, I think a lot of the misconceptions I heard from speaking to parents is that they think gaming is just making money in gaming. They can only see it as like playing the game, right? And this is me from an esports perspective, where you only get to see the people in front of the camera, and usually that is the gamers themselves, the commentators, or the host, the talent, right? And that's basically it. But behind the scenes, there's so many other jobs in production. You know, you got in production alone, you have the director of photography, you have the technical director, you have 3 camera operators, you have the graphics operator, audio person, and that's just production in general, right? And this is live production. Then we talk about like not live production, and then we can talk about the esports lawyers or the video game lawyers, there's publishers, there's developers, and within those sections of the industry, there's a lot more jobs within there as well. You know, and influencers too, right? That's a whole other thing too, but it's all within gaming. There's these giant pools that overlap, and you kind of have this giant Venn diagram of multiple circles, just, you know, with many different skill sets and many different areas that you can actually get a job that can be applied in gaming. But another misconception is that, you know, like, just because you love games doesn't mean that it is for you, right? Not a lot of people there are a lot of people that found that they love games, but maybe not working in them. But that doesn't mean the skill set isn't transferable as well. And so you can go to adjacent industries within tech, maybe even healthcare and law or whatever may have you, and you're still able to make a really good career. So to parents, I would say, if your child is interested in working within the gaming industry, yeah, you know, let them have their shot, because they're gonna learn a lot from it. And if it works out, it works out. If not, the skill sets are still there.
Journalism, right sitting. 2 startup founders. My company alone, we host a annual tech business pitch competition called the Shark-ish. Not Shark Tank, but Shark-ish. And the Shark-ish has gone international. We've now awarded over $25,000 to young entrepreneurs and adult entrepreneurs here in the state and abroad. So, you know, if you're creating games and you're creating companies, then this is a state where you will be rewarded and nurtured in doing so.
That's amazing. So how can parents and educators foster a healthy balance between gaming as a recreational activity and exploring it as a potential career option as well?
As a parent who's in that industry and whose son is probably needs better boundaries, that's a tough one, right? So it's, I'll be the first to admit, like it's in my particular case, like my son is actually a developer as well. So if you guys have heard of Roblox, he makes games on there and he makes quite a bit of money. Like he's 15 now. When he was 13, he was making about $10,000 a year. And there's like a funny story behind all of that. The weird thing that always ends up happening is when he is being a knucklehead, how do I punish him? I punish him by taking away his video games, but that's also the way he's making money. That's his career. That's the thing. So it's like you almost have to find like new ways to discipline the child and to, you know, figure out how to make sure you are drawing that line and making an understanding with your child. Like, hey, I'm taking away your video games not because I think it's a waste of time, not because I think it's doing this or that and the other. It's because you're not doing your homework. You know, you still need school. You still need X, Y, and Z. You still need this discipline in your life. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. That's what I'll say on that.
I don't have kids yet, so I don't have any boundaries to set. But no, I think the idea of setting a schedule is healthy. Just as we're professionals and we've got to block time on our calendar for meetings, we've got to block time on our calendar for events like this or for lunch, right? We heard from a parent earlier who was struggling with her son and concerned about his mental health, right? He's not sleeping and he's not eating. These are very important things you gotta do, right? Especially to have energy to play the game the next day. So I would suggest the schedule, but again, not a parent yet, not my expertise.
Also not a parent yet.
Okay, so again, coming from the parent standpoint, when my son started going to high school, I did a lot of work searching out all the different high schools. And of course, I'm from Austin, so it's probably going to be a little different here in Vegas. But I searched for high schools that had CS options or computer science options. So trying to make sure that like I can get that connection of programming and more software development for my child set up. I think being able to draw that line and saying, hey, look, you go to school, you're learning C#, you come home, you're using C#. Don't be a knucklehead in school, you get to do what you like to do more, you know? And so that was definitely one of the big ways that like I'm focusing that importance on school instead of like, I'm drawing that line from school, I'm saying, to this game development stuff. So yeah. I hope it answers the question.
I think there needs to be more adoption, right? From what I'm hearing from folks in the industry that are knee deep in it, there isn't enough of it in the traditional educational system. And so we have to become advocates of this opportunity and be able to speak to our political leaders and lobby, so to speak, for this type of education in our system because of the opportunities that it presents, right? We are in a gaming town. This city is run by gaming, mining, and a few other things as well. But Aristocrat is a huge company here. They are producers of this game and this technology. We've got Twitch here. I heard Twitch at every panel and every person up here has mentioned some, started looking at Twitch. We have Twitch. And so how do we build a talent pipeline for the future as these companies grow, as our city grows, as our economy diversifies in its industry, where we're moving beyond just hotel lodging, we're going into sports and entertainment now, right? We're positioned as one of the convention capitals of the world. There's a lot going on in Vegas. And a part of that has to also include esports, so that we can get some of the kids from the West Side, which for those of you that are not from Las Vegas is the historic black neighborhood of the town, right? Where we have to get these lower socioeconomic families involved and educated so that they are prepared for the opportunity to work for these companies. And then when they understand that we have a talent pool, we'll have more Microsofts come here, right? And then we can help to alleviate the wealth disparities in these communities and these different zip codes, and we'll all be better for it.
Math games, that was kind of like our break time, and they would trick us into playing those math games and we were playing video games, so we all knew it was work.
Yeah, it did.
So, last question. What resources, organizations, or programs are available to help support parents and educators in efforts to guide students towards successful careers in gaming?
Well, so my organization, my 501c3, which it's based in Austin, but like I have people all over the world there. So that's a community organization where anybody who is interested in game development can join, meet up with like people at their skill level and above, just other professionals throughout the industry, ask questions, get answers, get mentorship. So, those types of communities, I think are really, really good resources. Just try and find those. And I'm sure there's stuff local here in Vegas that I just don't know about. But I would say those open communities are very, very helpful.
Yeah, so we have Gamers Garage here, which is a facility where you can go and play games, and they're forming teams and tournaments, and they are being supported by a number of local organizations. We have, like I mentioned, E3, exploring,
enriching explorations in engineering.
Enriching explorations in engineering. Gentle plug. She's having an event tomorrow if you're still here in town, and it's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Pearson Center.
At the Pearson Center from 9 to 11. And there's going to be some really cool things for youth to learn. Pharaoh's Conclave, like I said. Amazing organization out of Atlanta doing fantastic work. I heard from TechnOrganic yesterday. This guy is, you should be up there too. He's an amazing speaker, and I can imagine, worldwide youth being super engaged with him. But there are so many different resources, and then, you know, what one of my fellow panelists mentioned about modeling, role modeling, right? So finding those people that are actually in the industry. Prior to this panel, there were 3 expert players, right? So maybe finding out how to follow them, how to get in contact with them. Will they set up some talk time with you? All of those resources are available. And then, you know, when you're thinking about being the producer of the game, and that is your entrepreneurship, right? And so with entrepreneurship, you also at some point will require investment. And so, like I mentioned, we have Startup NV here. We have the Sharkish contest, which is basically a grant. So you won't owe any money back, but we've got Access Community Capital, which is a local CDFI here, and funding underrepresented communities and entrepreneurs as well. So there are many resources. I would encourage you to do, you know, some research. We actually have the MSG Sphere, which is the big ball that just lit up and the whole world's talking about it on the Strip. A good friend of mine actually runs that, and so they're going to have huge esports tournaments there with thousands of people, and it's going to be immersive and amazing. So lots of resources locally and internationally. Definitely just meet these people before you go, attend these events, and hopefully you've noted some of those investors as well.